A lot of people ask us why virtual reality is better than 2D learning, which is, it's a very valid question. There's obviously a certain expense incorporated with adding a virtual reality environment compared to just having 2D learning on a computer or even just a whiteboard. But there is a lot of evidence now, including some about our software that we have on our website, about how effective virtual reality learning is. And some of that is to do with the 3D environment, the immersive environment that the students are put into. Some of it's to do with the fidelity that you can get in the environment. I mean, I often tell people that I've been using virtual reality pretty much every day now for the last 8 years. And every now and then, I still get surprised at how realistic it is. Like if I have to close a door behind me, I might think, oh, I wonder, is there room for that door to close? So there's definitely that side of things. There's also muscle memory, which is really important for students when they're learning to do technical tasks, such as in the midwifery environments or in the radiography environments, where they're actually expected to do things. Doing the thing in virtual reality is just like they will be doing it in the real world. Whereas on a computer, you're using a mouse and a keyboard to click your way through. So it's a good backup, but it's not as good as virtual reality. And if we were to talk about the scientific evidence behind virtual reality, it's very difficult to grab the actual statistics because that would need to be done in a randomized, double-blind controlled trial, which just isn't appropriate in education. And there are other things that have been debunked, like the triangle or the pyramid of learning, which says something like you remember 5% of what you hear and 10% of what you read. Now those figures were never accurate. They were always far too neat for me to take them seriously. But there's a lot of evidence that shows that students that have been educated with virtual reality, either in addition to or instead of different types of learning, do better in their clinical exams and in their academic written exams. Again, like I said, we've got a lot of those on the website under the publications, and we do know that there are others coming out. We hear great stories, and this isn't like evidence, but we hear great stories from our universities that we work with, and I know that a lot of them in respect of the new technology that they're using and the new paradigm that they're using to teach their students, they are doing a lot of research. This is presented at conferences and published in journals. So personalized learning is such an important part. I think over the last 100 years, we've moved away from lining students up in rows and then just teaching them with one person at the front of the class. We've luckily moved away from that, and personalized learning recognizes that students learn in different ways and they need different types of feedback. So virtual reality and a lot of other digital types of learning can really accelerate that. For a start, it's fast. It's really, really fast. So people then ask us, how does virtual reality support personalized learning? We've moved away from, quite fortunately, students lined up in rows and then one teacher at the front trying to pass on a generic course, into recognizing that students learn in different ways and need different resources to learn. And part of that, the most thing they need is individual feedback. Now that's very time consuming to do as a lecturer, but virtual reality can do it instantaneously. So that's really important for students. They do something and then they get immediate feedback, and they can usually self-manage with a lot of this feedback. What the lecturers can then do is spend time on far more complicated areas or students who need a little bit of extra help than just getting told by the software what they're doing, how they're doing it, and where they need to improve. So it saves everybody a bit of time, students and staff alike. And then we get asked, how do we get started with virtual reality learning? And actually, it's a really simple answer. You can get in touch with us. This doesn't want to sound like a desperate plug, but we do provide the white glove service of we have no virtual reality to we want to get our course running and everything in between. We'll advise you of the hardware to get. We'll advise you what environments you need to set up. And they can be from the very flash, all singing, all dancing environments that are dedicated to virtual reality, to an area of the back of a room or the side of a room, which is just marked on the floor with some tape, and everything in between. The hardware for our software is not that high spec. People sort of assume we're going to need like the absolute pinnacle of the hardware, but actually we desperately try and manage to keep this low because we realize we've got to cater for every budget. So yeah, get in touch. It's relatively easy to get in touch with us via the website, and we'll guide you along the way.
For better education.